All right, we are going to, since today is kind of just like a kind of open forum, we're going to jump right into it, and people can, if more people connect, I think we have a few more registering, they can just come in at that time. Today is the Q&A session, and how we usually structure this is I'll just kind of go through the list here, give everyone a chance to ask a question that has one, and then we'll just knock anything else out. And if it's something real technical or if there's some sort of issue, we may have to address it at a later time where I can get your contact information and work with you one-on-one. But if general question, how to use the software, how to set something up, we can usually handle that as long as it's not terribly specific. But Ben, do you have maybe a question or two that start us off?
I don't. I haven't played with this enough to really have too many questions. You answered my one question yesterday, which was if we needed to change the model number in QuickBooks, would it automatically replace that model number in the service program? And the answer was no. You have to manually change that model number because the previous model number doesn't exist anymore.
Correct, and that, just to clarify, I know it's a quick email answer, it would change it on your item list. You can see my screen.
Okay.
So it would, if you change, let's say, that item there and took out the word tablets in QuickBooks and synced, that would change. That would just show,
okay.
You know, it would update and be like that. The problem is your rental inventory isn't at all of that old model number. That would not change. You'd have to go reselect, and if you didn't have HT in there, you changed it to hand washing toilet, you'd have to go and reselect the correct item for each one of the rental inventory, just to clarify.
Okay. So, all right. So if we leave the entry partially intact and just revise it, it will convert over.
Correct.
Okay.
And like you can change item description, anything like that. And maybe this will be a better way to demonstrate it. Let me pull up that one item, HT. And let's say I changed it in QuickBooks to be HT rental. So now when I sync with QuickBooks, my item is now HT rental. Still the same item. I just added in that extra part. If I go now to my rental inventory list, everything is still on this list tied to the old name. So I'd have to, when I hit this drop down, it doesn't know what the HT item is. This is where I'd have to reselect and say that's now HT rental.
Okay.
That
gotcha.
I think is a little more sense.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're coming across now. Like Jerry had entered some information, and I want the model number changed to something different. So, all right, it makes sense.
Okay. Perfect. Let's see here. Catherine, did you have any question or two I can answer for you?
I do. Okay. My main concern is you know, I have roll-off containers, 20, 30 yard, 40 yard, and I'm understanding. I put them in my inventory and so forth. It's just when I'm assigning them to deliver a portable, a roll-off container, and then I don't know the actual roll-off container that my driver is going to be taking. And so when the delivery is finished, then I can assign it, but I just need to know how to do that individually as far as doing the delivery by itself and then a pull charge by itself with the landfill. I'm just so confused about when I know he showed me yesterday about under the miscellaneous info and then go to the control info and it switched to rentals.
Yeah, we have that roll-off version that we've done a specific version of the software for one of our other roll-off companies, and it may or may not be, I mean, that's all they did was roll-offs. Since you do a mixture, you may want to use that version. You may want to switch it back to the standard version, and what I think would be best, just like we talked about, I think, yesterday, was when you go into your rentals and you need to, let me switch back to the standard, just create a delivery task right off the rental.
Okay.
So at the top here, just create a delivery task.
Right.
You don't have to have serial numbers in, just like I do here. Those are not required. You can go right in to create a delivery task, and then after the delivery has been done, you can come back in here and pick your available serial numbers, what he actually delivered.
Oh, okay. And then if I have like 10 deliveries, I can just create all of them and then put them on a route.
You could do them all as tasks. It's probably the easiest way, and then they'd all be on your task list. So you have a task list that looks like this.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put these all on today's date so they're a little outdated.
And that way I could just print it out for each driver.
Correct. So let's say, Bill, if you look here, if these were all, let's see, switch these around to rental delivery. When you create a task, this part is done automatically where it puts in the task type called rental delivery.
Right.
All right. So I could say I want to see everything on Bill's schedule, and then I could pick a date. So I could say today's date. This would be everything that Bill is doing today. And I would see that they are all rental deliveries. Or they would say pickup, or they have exchange, whatever that task was that was assigned to that guy for that day.
Right.
So now if I wanted to print his schedule, I just hit print right off the task list.
Mm-hmm.
I would do a report assigned to Bill for today's date, and I'm going to print a schedule. And here would be Friday, August 9th today. He's doing a rental delivery. Here it is, the customer, the address, and it would be listed all the stuff I had to do that day.
Oh, okay.
Real simple.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then the driver, like on that resolution line, could write in any notes. He also could write in, you know, what unit number he actually placed.
Right.
So
and then once, yeah.
You get the paperwork back. You then go into items rented, open up that rental. Okay, the driver dropped off that serial number there.
Right.
Just sign it. When the tasks are done, you can close out the tasks. So if that's done, I could just go in and put a resolution in. And if I need to invoice it to charge the customer for the delivery, I can just hit invoice, and that'll turn this into an invoice.
Oh, okay. You can't go down there when I go to the print schedule, and you can't go to close task.
You have
I
to
had like a
close
little.
task one by one.
Oh, okay.
Each task has to be closed one by one if you do tasks, because each one requires their own resolution.
Right.
Closing
Okay.
notes.
Okay.
And that's, I think, the easiest way. Yeah.
The resolution that you enter, is it all, it's just a custom resolution, whatever you determine to be a resolution? Like, you keep writing done. Could you write, anything you write will approve a completed task?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's just important. It's a required field to close a task, and it just enforces you to get in the habit of, why did you create the task? Okay, that's our task description. Now, it's complete, but why was it completed? What did you do? Was the person called back? Was the delivery completed? It just enforces that good note-taking habit.
Okay.
Because all of this gets stored in the customer's history. So if the customer ever requested, a report, you could run one, and you would have nice detailed notes of the customer complaint or the issue or the reason why you created the work order, and then the closing notes or the resolution. And we do have that drop-down box right here on the resolution, just like on the task type, where if you double-click in there, you can create a couple quick codes.
Okay.
You could have a delivery complete. Then you could have a standard message you want for every completed delivery.
Now, does any of those descriptions show up on the invoice?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's not any internal notes. It all would go over to the invoice.
It would show up on the invoice. And I could do something like this, where rental deliver, if I put a Y in there, rental delivery completed, unit delivered, and I can put a blank line. That way I could, every time I'm going to close out a task, I just select that, and I go, okay, now the unit that was delivered was, I have a nice reporting, a couple prompts to have me key in the right information, and I can just invoice it or post it to notes. If you don't need to charge for it, if you just want to mark it as complete, you would hit post to notes.
Okay.
So entering that additional serial number is just to, for redundancy, because you're going to assign that a serial number anyway, right?
Correct, and it's again, it's personal preference. You don't have to. I'm just giving you some ideas, throwing some stuff out there. Because if I go into completed task, that one we just completed, I hit post to notes. So if I go to the customer's history, this is the information that's stored, the task description. Then I have the resolution, rental completed, unit number completed on such and such date. So if the customer ever requested a report, I'd have all that information.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Now, why wouldn't you always post it to an invoice?
If you didn't need to charge for it.
So if it was a service call or something that was you're not being charged for?
Correct. Like the delivery, you may want to charge for the delivery on the rental transaction, so it shows up on the rental invoice along with whatever else they're renting. You may not want a separate invoice just for that delivery. So you post it to notes just to mark it complete.
Now, is there a section that you can put where the customer can't see it, so it's internal and you can see certain internal notes like, this customer constantly complains, don't give in, don't change order, because it happens constantly?
Yes, you can always, you have a couple different places for that. In customer detail, I could do a customer note here. Or whatever I need to.
Perfect. Nail on the head.
Now, anytime I go to, like if I'm going to go create a task for this customer, the customer calls in and I get a pop-up alert.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's nice.
The other way, if you wanted something for like the work order, let's say we go through and we create this work order. Maybe this is a service call or a pump out or whatever the case may be. Customer describes their issue here in the description. Task-specific notes is your internal field per work order or per task. So anything in the task-specific notes only stays in the desktop software. It doesn't go on the invoice. It's visible in that customer history, but it will not print out on the customer history report. So it's truly the internal notes field. The only other place you can see it is if I hit Show on Work Ticket. Now the tech can see it on the work order.
Okay.
If I needed another general notes entry, I can also go to Customer Details, go to the Notes tab, and I can just do a notes entry.
And those are visible to the customer?
If you were to print a report, yes.
Okay.
But again, when you go to print a customer history report, you pick and choose by selecting what you want to print and then hit print. So you only, you're going to get to decide what the customer sees in that report.
All right.
Okay.
Good question, Catherine.
Pardon?
I said that was a good question.
Oh, okay.
Did you have any other or?
I do have one more.
Okay, go right ahead.
Back to when we're entering the rental transaction, and in my case, I have portable toilets, and then I have the roll-off containers. And so in my mind, I'm thinking when I do the item list below, and I'm saying I'm about to do the portable toilet rental, that item I would put on a route because it's totally different from a task for my roll-off containers, right?
Correct, and that's the way you want to think of it. Is task is like one-time service, and a route would be a recurring service.
Right.
So
and every item that I put in, like when I click it to put on route, is it putting all three of these line items on route, or the only one that I have highlighted?
It's putting the customer on the route. So anything the customer has rented is on the schedule for you that you put on that day.
Oh, okay.
We do routing a little differently in our program. We route the customer. So the customer is what's on the route schedule, and the customer has items that are rented.
Oh, okay. But if I could just hit run once, and then it wouldn't show up all the time. It would just show up that one time until I went to the next week.
Well, run once is for billing only. That has nothing to do with on the route or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Run once and is pro-radar for billing. So if I had a delivery fee of $15, I want that to only run once, meaning it will only show up on
okay. Okay, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, I forgot.
The portable toilet and holding tank would mean, since those aren't run once, those are going to be every month. It's going to bill for those two.
Right, okay. Okay.
And Michael, I don't know if you can hear us. Did you have any questions, or are you just kind of listening in? I don't know if you can hear us. Okay. Anything else on the top of your head, Ben or Catherine?
The task that you entered, you can add different task items just by double-clicking on any task, and then that prompts you to enter a new task if you like?
Well, you have, if you go to your task list, these are all the different tasks that are going on within the company right now.
Okay.
So if I double-click on a task number, it opens up that task for that customer.
Okay.
If I wanted to create a task, I just hit task entry and I can create a new task and pick a customer.
And where did you find that task list again?
That is the main screen you see when you log into the software.
Okay.
So this is the first thing you'll see, or you can go task info, task list, or if you hit the home button in the top right, it always takes you to the task list.
Okay. And then can you go back to task entry?
Yeah.
If you click on task type, how do you enter a new task type?
You just either start typing to add a task type on the fly.
Okay.
Like to type service call. If I hit tab after entering it, or if I clicked into another field, it's going to ask me whether I want to add it now. Hit yes. Or if you see now that you've entered a task type, it's blue and underlined. So like we were talking about yesterday, it's a theme. Just double click, and here's your task type list.
Yep.
For task types, you can default a description to automatically populate, just like that resolution I showed you.
Okay.
You could set a default length of time for all task types. You also can set the default color label. This color label in the right-hand column, light green, light purple, lime green, that is what color the task will show up on the schedule view, which is the calendar layout.
Okay.
What's an example why you would default length of time?
If, I mean, this, again, it may not apply to necessarily rentals, but a lot of our service businesses, HVAC, stuff like that, when they go do a certain type of job, they're defaulting the type of job to 1 hour. Their task types may be like AC or maybe heater repair, or it's a certain type of service is what they're using the task type list for. So each service, each different type of job takes a different amount of time, so that blocks off the appropriate amount of time for the technician on the schedule. Okay.
I kind of have a question that's out in left field.
Yeah.
Is there any way that I can, I believe you told me before, but I want to make sure I enter all my drivers and any like information. Like I have their payroll separate, but I would just like to enter all the information. Is there any way to do that?
Yeah, if you look on your route schedule,
Okay.
if you double click where it says R1, or if you double click in that field labeled route,
Right.
it's your route subassigned list.
Oh, okay. And I can put my managers and all my drivers in there.
This is where your drivers would go for the routes.
Okay. Perfect.
If you double click the technician, if you double click R1 again from this screen,
Mm-hmm.
this is the pop-up you get of, you know,
Oh, okay.
workday length, telephone number, you could put in uniform, insurance, repairs, truck payment,
Okay,
a bunch of
perfect.
other payment type, hourly, commission, salary.
Okay.
Now, where your managers and office staff go are under miscellaneous info, system, and user maintenance.
Okay.
Here's the user list that has the username and password to get into the desktop software, you know, the service
Right.
program. So any managers or anyone else using the desktop program you put on this list, and again, if we double clicked, you get that same type of screen.
Okay, perfect. That works. Well, I think that's it for me. I do have to go. I got another appointment, but I do appreciate your help.
Oh, anytime. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Y'all have a great weekend. Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Michael, I do see you have your hand raised. Are you able to hear us? Are you able to? We can't hear you if you're trying to talk. Are you able to dial into the conference call?
Looks like it's just me and you.
He keeps raising his hand. I don't know. See if I can send him the audio. Michael, do you see where you can chat, like on the little GoToMeeting program that you're connected with? There's a little chat section. Are you able to maybe type a message there?
Hello.
Hey, we're here.
Hey. Yeah.
Okay, I'm on the phone. I guess the computer mic didn't work.
Oh, sorry about that. I hope you weren't trying to think we were ignoring you.
Oh no, I could hear y'all, but I couldn't. The mic wasn't working.
Gotcha. Did you have a couple questions? Maybe I can demonstrate something for you.
Yeah, I've got about 5 here. Some of them should be pretty quick.
Good.
I have a pool business. So what I'm looking for is, and I saw this on another, How I Got Y'all software is another company had your software. They have the chemical readings. So when a route technician goes out every week, he can record these chemical readings. Is that done with a checklist?
That is actually done a couple different ways. And the first thing you're going to want to do is go to miscellaneous info, system, and control table maintenance.
Okay.
From here, you have to make sure your industry is set to pool service to see all the different specific settings for our pool guys.
Okay.
Now, the information that you'll be filling out is what we call a route ticket. So if you go to ticket entry under route info, this is on the desktop where you can capture the data with all the chemical readings.
Okay, I see that. All right, so when you make a route, how do you get this to the tech?
Now, are you guys going to be using mobile devices?
We will be, yes.
Okay. Now, when the guys in the field are using the mobile devices, this doesn't have to go anywhere. They actually create this route ticket on their end. They'll look at their route schedule. They will tap on a stop, and then they'll have an option to do a ticket entry, which they click on that, and then they see a screen very similar to this, where all they have to do is fill out these readings, check off what they've done, and add any line items for billing.
Okay.
Now, if you wanted to print something in the meantime, So let's say I wanted to at least print a schedule and get a schedule with some of those chemical readings on it until you get the mobile devices going. From your route schedule, you can go to Route Info, print route sheets. I'm going to pick the date I want to print my schedule for, and I believe it's version 1. Has the stop, all their information, and then any chemical readings kind of displayed over here on the right.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that answers a lot of questions
Good.
associated to that. All right, that was one thing that I wanted to know if y'all had pool service specific templates built in, and I see how you did it.
Yeah.
You set the company to pool service.
Correct.
And
That
will
kicks
work
off
out.
the whole program into everything you need.
Right. Okay, the next question is associated with equipment. I was using, and still am using in the production mode, QExpress. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one or not, but
Yep.
I was able to set up custom fields where I could track my equipment. And with y'all's equipment list, you have to type in each record or each piece of equipment. You have to type in a name. In that one, I was able to generate basically a table with a drop down, and so I can set up all my different pumps or all my different filters. Is that capable in this software, or do I have to type in every piece of equipment? And it would be under, let's see, equipment name.
Yep. Everything has to be keyed in.
Okay.
And then we have to, name the equipment, and then you'd have to key in each piece of.
Well, it was like one of those columns. I would make it, let's say, a size, and it would retain those entries. But
Correct.
in the equipment name, it doesn't retain those. And you see, there's no drop down there to be able to pick. Let's say my first customer, and I selected they have a Hayward Super 2 pump. Now, when I go in to the next customer, I don't have that Hayward pump available to me to pick from. I've got to type Hayward pump in again.
Yes, and I believe that is set up for a reason. I think in our software, the way we make you type it in is because each equipment is unique and allows you then to double-click to get into that piece of equipment detail. With this Hayward pump is specific to any other pump named Hayward pump. This one is specific to that customer, where I could have different in-service date, all sorts of other information here, specific equipment notes. And again, these would be your custom fields that you create that would show up at the top of that equipment list.
Right. Okay.
Another,
Okay, that's what I want to know. What the purpose of that was, and why I can't generate a drop down for that. But that's the way it is, and I'll figure out a nomenclature bill so that no matter who puts that equipment in, it comes out the same.
Correct. And if you have a list, if it's easier to populate onto a spreadsheet, the equipment's pretty easy to import. I could import it from like an Excel spreadsheet for you if you want to set it up on the spreadsheet with all the columns as your custom fields, and I could drop it in for every customer.
Okay, that was the next question, is how do I import that equipment in? Do I have that capability, or do I need y'all to do that?
If you have the full version of Microsoft Office, Access, like if you look at my service program, I have all these other tabs, not just the service program. If you have Access, you can do external data, import from Excel, you can start the import process and pick which part of the program you want to import into.
Okay. All right. Then I'm using OpenOffice right now, so that's not going to work. I'll need to get Office with Access in order to do that.
Correct. Sorry, Ben, I think, has us on hold. He took another call, so I took him off mute, and you're still hearing the hold music.
Okay.
All right.
My past life, I was in computers and did a lot of data conversion, so I'm very familiar with Access and how it works. So if I've got that capability, that's what I wanted to know, is how much capability and access do I have to these tables to customize anything that I want?
The only thing you can't customize is the forms. You have full rights to manipulate any of the data in the tables.
Right.
So, I mean, if you have the full version access, you have all the tables and the entire software at your disposal and any of the data in them. So you can, if you have the full version of Microsoft Access, you can create your own reports, use the data that's in the program, use Microsoft Access Report Designer to make your own reports or printouts.
Okay. And with full version of Access, then I assume that I would have access to all the field names, so that when I use Word to generate templates, I know what these field names are.
Correct. If we go to, let's say, I think we have them under queries, you have a Word employee task query. That would be when you print a Word template from a task, these are the different field names you would need for the Word bookmarks.
Okay. Perfect.
And you can go into design view and look at the structure of the queries and have everything you need. If you want to pull in extra fields from other tables, if you know what you're doing.
Right. Okay. Next question is do you have documentation for this detail?
For doing what, as far as?
For actually importing data in. Basically what I'm looking for is a tech manual to this software.
We don't have anything as far as that, no documentation. If you have like the full version of Access, we don't officially support that, just because, I mean, obviously if you have the full version of Access, you know what you're doing, you have every right to do it, but it's too hard for us to, with our different tech support people, to get into a tech issue if you're manipulating your own data, running a query, doing something like that, and everyone would do it differently, and if you screw something up, it would be too hard for us to figure out why it happened and what happened exactly. So we do not provide documentation on that, but we do have, if you go to miscellaneous info, and I believe it's View Online Help, that is the documentation we do have, that we're currently getting this new online help website up and running. Most of it's here, but for instance, if you go to How To and then Word templates, we have instructions. These are demo Word templates you can download, as well as on like the task, they break down all the different bookmark names for the different fields there.
Okay.
How To on customers, the different, step-by-step QuickBooks, updating, grading customers.
Okay, that answers that question. All right, that's pretty much it. Now I need to go in and start playing with this.
Perfect.
Okay.
Ben, are you back with us? All right. Well, I think that is it for everyone. I appreciate you guys coming to the training class. I hope you have a great weekend.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.